All right, let's get right into this one. Today, we're talking about a story that came to us from a subscriber named Sahil. And this isn't just some campfire tale. This is his chilling and very personal account of a trip with his friends that went horribly, horribly wrong.
So this is a quote directly from Sahil, and wow, does it set the stage. A simple song, something that's supposed to be comforting, got twisted into the very source of his deepest fear. So how on earth did that happen? Let's trace the steps back and see what led to this moment.
So, our story begins with four friends. There's Sahil, who's telling us the story, and his buddies Chirag, Arun, and Sami. Now, this wasn't just some fun getaway. They were in Manali for a very specific reason, to be there for Sami. He was going through a really tough time, absolutely devastated after his younger brother had recently died in a tragic accident. The whole point of the trip was to try and lift his spirits, but they had no idea what was waiting for them.
On their third day there, the guys decide to take a drive up to the famous Rotang Pass. If you don't know, it's this incredibly beautiful high mountain pass, a huge tourist spot. They were probably feeling pretty optimistic, hoping that the amazing views would be a good distraction for Sami.
So as they're heading out of their hotel, the receptionist gives them this piece of advice. And it was weirdly specific, right? Not just a casual, hey, be safe out there, but a direct warning with a hard deadline. It's the kind of thing you might just brush off. But for us, listening to this story, this is our first big red flag.
And here's why that warning was so serious. The name itself. The receptionist actually explained to them that in the local dialect, Rotang literally translates to Valley of Death or pile of corpses. He even told them this old local legend about a tricky, shadowy entity that supposedly preys on anyone who travels that pass after dark.
And of course, being young guys, probably feeling a bit invincible, what did they do? They just laughed it off. They figured, it's just one of those spooky stories they tell tourists to give them a little thrill. They were totally unconcerned and just headed off for the pass, completely ignoring that warning.
Okay, now we're on the return journey, and this is where things really start to fall apart. It's now after 9 p.m., so they're way past that 6 p.m. warning. It is pitch black outside, and this thick, heavy fog starts rolling in, making it almost impossible to see a few feet in front of the car. The whole vibe is completely changed.
So as they're creeping along through the fog, Sahil spots a milestone on the side of the road. It says Manali 28KM. But that's not the weird part. What's truly bizarre is that there's a figure sitting right next to it, an old man, wearing practically nothing but a thin cloth in the absolute freezing mountain air. Sahil thought it was super strange, but he didn't say anything out loud.
They keep driving, winding their way down the mountain for a solid 20 minutes. And then it looms out of the fog again. The exact same stone, Manali 28KM. I mean, that's just not possible. They should be miles closer to the hotel by now. It's as if they haven't moved at all, and that's when the dread hits. They're stuck. They're trapped in some kind of loop.
Now this is where it gets really psychologically terrifying. They start freaking out, talking over each other, and they realize something chilling. Sahil saw that old man, but Chirag, he saw a little girl holding a toy. And Arun, who was driving, saw a single black horse just standing there staring at their car. They all lived through the same impossible moment, but their realities were completely different.
And then, it happens a third time. The Manali 28KM milestone fades into view once again. Only this time, the space next to the stone is completely empty. And somehow, the silence, the absolute nothingness, is even scarier than the strange things they saw before. It's past 11 at night now, and they know, without a doubt, that this is way beyond any logical explanation.
Just as they're trying to process being caught in this supernatural trap, the whole situation escalates. Big time. Arun, still behind the wheel, suddenly says in his really tense voice, "Guys, don't look outside. Just keep looking forward."
But of course, they look, and they see him. There's a boy, maybe 15 years old, just walking right alongside their car. His clothes are covered in mud, his face is a mess of what look like injuries. But the real horror sinks in when they realize the car is moving at 40 kilometers an hour and he's effortlessly keeping pace. He isn't running, he's just walking.
While everyone else is just frozen with fear, Sami, remember, the friend who's grieving, has this completely different reaction. He starts saying, "He needs our help, we have to help him," and he rolls down his window. Arun is frantically mashing the central lock button to get it back up, but nothing happens. The system is completely dead. It's like the car isn't theirs to control anymore.
All of a sudden, the boy stops and falls behind them. He just stands there in the middle of the road and gives a little wave. Sahil glances at the rear-view mirror and sees something that chills him to his very core. Sammy is looking in the mirror with this little smile on his face, and he's waving right back at the figure in the road. A connection had just been made.
After that nightmare encounter, they finally break free of the loop and somehow make it back to the hotel at around 2 in the morning. They are shaken, they are exhausted, and they basically just agree to not talk about it and get some sleep, hoping that maybe it was all just some crazy, shared hallucination. But the horror wasn't done with them. It had followed them home.
At 3:30 in the morning, what some people call the witching hour, Sahil is jolted awake by a faint sound in the otherwise silent room. It's a sound that should be totally innocent, but in this context, it was the scariest thing he could possibly hear.
He hears someone singing a lullaby. The words are so sweet and gentle. You are my moon, you are my sun, you are the star of my eyes. It's the kind of song a mother would sing to her child. But when Sahil's eyes finally adjust to the dark, what he sees is pure, undiluted horror.
It's Sammy. He's sitting straight up in his bed, staring at his own reflection in a mirror on the other side of the room. He's singing this lullaby to himself, but his whole appearance has twisted into something grotesque. His eyes are glowing red. Dark, bruise-like marks are literally appearing on his neck, like he's being strangled by invisible hands. And on his face is this small, deeply unsettling smile.
The other two friends wake up and they all just stare, too terrified to even move. As they start to back away, Sammy stops singing. He turns, looks at them with that same creepy, childlike smile and asks them this question, but in a voice that is absolutely not his own. Then, he just collapses, completely unconscious. So the next morning, as you can imagine, the friends are beyond terrified. They know they are in way over their heads and need help that is not conventional. Remembering the receptionist's warning, they take the unconscious Sami to a local pandit, a Hindu priest, desperate for some kind of explanation.
And the pundit, he takes one look at Sami and seems to immediately understand what's going on. He explains that some kind of evil entity on that pass had sensed Sami's deep, profound grief. It used that pain, took on the form of his dead younger brother, appearing as a helpless boy on the side of the road, to exploit Sami's vulnerability and get inside.
The pandit immediately begins a ritual. First, a cleansing ceremony, and then he starts the rites of an exorcism. And the process is, well, it's violent. Sami starts to vomit uncontrollably, but it's not food. It's this thick, black, disgusting liquid. This, the pandit tells them, is the physical form of the spirit as it's being forced out of his body.
Now, Sammy did eventually recover, but Sahil says he is still haunted by that memory of his friends singing that lullaby to a monster in the mirror, and it leaves us with his final, really unsettling thought. This story suggests that maybe our deepest emotional pain, our grief, isn't just a wound that hurts us. Maybe it's also like blood in the water, making us visible to things that hunt in the shadows. What do you think?